just a couple of minutes before we begin.
Sure. So Devesh, the Q&A.
Yes. Yeah.
So I keep the Q&A on one side, is it?
Yes. So we'll take Q&A towards the end of the webinar. And maybe once you're done with the whole presentation, then I can prompt and I can start taking the questions. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So it's almost 3:30 now. We are ready to begin the session. So a very good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I am Devesh Lathi from the Next Genius Foundation, and I welcome all of you for this webinar with the CAN Academy and with Ms. Neelu Virk. Very welcome to you as well, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And I'm happy to be doing this session. And it's great that you guys are conducting this. A lot of kids are not sure what to do and how to build their profiles. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, ma'am. So a little bit about the Next Genius Foundation. Next Genius is a charitable trust, and we help students with scholarships for their undergraduate education in the US. Over the past 5 years, we have had 117 Next Genius scholars enroll at one of our Next Genius partners on a scholarship. This year, again, the application for grade 12 students and gap year student is already open. So all of you who are interested in learning more about us can visit our website and can apply to us online. So when you apply to colleges, they look at not just your college, your academics or your test scores like SAT, ACT scores, but they look at your holistic profile. They look at your communication skills or maybe your other skills, your extracurricular activities. The highly selective colleges, they receive many applications from students who have good academic scores or have done exceedingly well in their tests, SATs and ACTs. So what differentiates them from the other applicants is the activities or the extracurricular activities that they have participated in during their high school. So this was one of the reasons why we are now conducting these profile building webinars to help you connect with such opportunities, to help all the students know that the opportunities like this exist, and we would like you to benefit from this. So with that in mind, I would like to invite Ms. Virk to begin her presentation and to share with us about her work at the CAN Academy and how all of you can benefit from it. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. So can we begin?
Yes, please.
Okay. So one of my favorite comedians is Jerry Seinfeld. And once he mentioned that the number one fear is public speaking and number two is death. That doesn't sound right, does it? But this means that an average person feels better off in the casket than doing the eulogy. Now, let me give you a couple of stories. I've been training students for 30 years, and I want to share a couple of stories with you. So there's this little boy who's about 5 or 6, gets an opportunity to go on stage, forgets lines, and is scarred for life. Lives with this fear of communication, and this stays with him for a lifetime. Now, let me tell you another case study where we had a student called Joey, and the name has been changed. She had a speech impediment, a lisp, and whenever she talked in class, other kids, peers, little children can be mean, and they would laugh at her, and she knew she was going to be made fun of. So Jui just clammed up and wouldn't communicate in her classroom environment. Let's take the case of Rahil, who is in a business school studying one of the top MBA programs in the country. And while he's on the road to being groomed as a future executive, he's never had the opportunity earlier to speak in public. So he's really aware of the anxiety that grips him when it comes to public speaking. He realizes that given his role of becoming a successful entrepreneur, his career would lead him to speak in front of a large crowd, and in addition, he'd have to pitch his ideas to board members, to top executives, investors, and that scares the daylight out of him. Now, to tell you a little bit about who we are, so I'm Neelu Virk, and I run an academy called CAN, where we train thousands of students in speech communication. I have a master's in psychology and have a licentiate in communication skills from the Trinity College of London. And I've worked with some of the top schools like Bombay Scottish, Jamnabai, Hiranandani Foundations, just to name a few. I founded CAN about 30 years ago. And the reason was because the school system, there is a gap in our school system. Now, the problem is that the school system was kind of built on a model that provides a single ground for testing, and it's purely academics. Now, our education system has the features of the colonial education system that was built into our system. It was to create workers and not thinkers, and certainly not people who can express themselves. Now, kids in schools should be, in Indian schools, should be seen and not heard. Most schools have very large number of students, and the teacher-student ratio is skewed. So you'll have 50 students to a teacher, and the kids aren't given an opportunity to communicate. Most kids will end up finishing grade 10 without even having learned that skill. Very often you'll have a Raj in class or a Sachi in class who the teacher has identified as a good speaker. And that same kid will continue through a couple of years going up for various competitions. But what happens to the remaining 45? So most of these kids grow up, or most people grow up with this fear of communication. Now, in today's session, I'm going to be covering why people fear public speaking, why must one learn this skill, and what tools can one use to overcome these fears. Now, if you are one of those adults who feels these symptoms of repetitive negative thoughts and images, butterflies in the stomach, excessive sweating and perspiration, your heart rate quickens, there's rapid shallow breathing when someone asks you to go on stage, then you're probably one who has glossophobia, which is the fear of public speaking. It's a very, very common phobia, and it's believed to affect about 75% of people. Some have more nervous than the others at the thought of public speaking, while a lot of them have full-blown panic attacks. Now, 25% of these report experiencing debilitating symptoms. So and the mild ones, go up on stage and maybe get a few shivers and are able to put forth their ideas. Now, communication fears can actually limit and torment us. This fear can prevent us from meeting new people, strengthening our relationships, moving ahead in our careers, and generally even connecting with our fellow humans. Like I mentioned, that our Indian system, I don't know if you've heard this phrase, where the fish are made to climb trees. So there are 9 intelligences that we have. So it could be spatial intelligence, it could be musical intelligence, but our system is only geared to test students on their academic scores. which leaves a lot of kids feeling incapable or not up to the mark. I have seen that when kids, have other co-curricular activities where they excel, it kind of raises their confidence. And that's what schools need to address and kind of acknowledge as well. Now, most schools today don't even know what to teach because there's a change in the landscape. There are stories of school dropouts like Jack Ma and Steve Jobs that are doing the rounds. And so many new businesses have disrupted the old ways of working. You have Ola and Uber that have changed the landscape of how we, travel, or Airbnb that, how we take our holidays, or Book My Show where we buy tickets online, and things have been made easier. And these are not necessarily, kids who've, been academically fantastic, who started or founded these companies. Robots, artificial intelligence, automation, no longer is the stuff of science fiction movies. And the world is not really reacting fast enough to update our education system. Now, there was an analysis done by McKinsey Global Institute, where they said that about 50% of the job activities are highly susceptible to change, and you don't know what to really teach your students anymore. A lot of it is available on Google, and kids question that now. Why do I have to learn my tables? Why do I have to learn this? Now, how do we prepare our future generations to thrive in this changing landscape? So there are certain skills that companies look for these days. They want to see adaptability and change, whether you are okay to, learn new things and adapt yourself to those changes, whether your communication skills are good, whether you're able to collaborate and, be part of team operations, whether you're open to continuous learning, because some of your jobs or our jobs may be redundant very soon, whether we are creative and open to innovation and innovative ideas, critical thinking, problem solving, organizational awareness, self-awareness, your EQ has to be high. There are a lot of things that companies look at today. And 70% of employed adults who give presentations agree that presentation skills or communication skills are critical to their success at work, according to the new survey. And my first reaction was, but I'm sure the 30% don't know yet, and they haven't been in that spot. Now, what does communication help us with is what you're going to be wondering about. Now, it helps us to form connections, networking, influence decisions, motivate change. Without communication skills, the ability to progress in the working world and life itself would be nearly impossible. Public speaking is one of the most important and the most dreaded, though it's one of the most dreaded forms, skills that people, want to learn. Now, I want to tell you that, in class, we analyze speakers, and the kids are very fascinated to learn sometimes. Like we were doing this thing about John F. Kennedy. And even though he had, so the kids in grade 8 had to analyze his communication skills. It could be a leader, it could be someone in advertising or religion. So very often kids have taken Modi or Obama or, any leader. So when they were looking at Kennedy, they realized that he was very shy and would often sit in the corner of the room trying to be as inconspicuous as possible. But went on to become one of the greatest orators we've had. In those 1,000 days in office, he had some of the most memorable speeches that he gave. Now, great speakers aren't born, and they're most definitely trained. We're all born with this ability to learn, develop, and master the art of public speaking and presentation. And in my 30 years of experience, I have seen kids transform. And as a teacher, you kind of wait for that aha moment. You know that it's happening and it's just going to tip over, and you'll suddenly see this radical change in this child. And that's the moment that we wait for. So when parents bring reluctant little kids to class who are shy, and they walk in saying, he's afraid to speak in public, he's great at home, but just won't speak in school, and the teacher's often complaining. And then when the kid has gone through years and years of training with us, and you see that this child has transformed into this fabulous orator. And even if I were to change the speech, say maybe a few hours before the exam or before he's going to go on stage, he's able to do it and transition so smoothly into the whole process that it just amazes you. And it happens to me each time. Now, I believe that there are 3 words that can transform your ability to speak with confidence, and I'm going to discuss that. Speak with confidence, with clarity, and success at every presentation. One is respect, the second is attitude, and the third is coaching. Now, respect is the art of public speaking as a skill that can be developed and mastered. A positive attitude will determine your success in public speaking and presentation. The third is that you must engage a professional coach if you have trouble with it. Now, when I say respect, effective speaking or public speaking is like any other skill. If you want to improve it, you need the tools, the right feedback, and you need the opportunity to practice. So I often tell parents when they say that, he's shy to go up on stage, or he's frightened to go up on stage, I said, you don't become a Modi or an Obama style of communicator going from an audience at home to a rally of 50,000 people. It has to transition. It's a step-by-step process. It's only when you first have a safe zone to speak in, where kids are not making fun of you or making fun of your accent or your posture or your style of delivery, and you get positive as well as negative feedback that can help you improve your speaking skills. Now, if you notice that a lot of, today engineering is one of the most sought after degrees, but you know that very few of these engineers that graduate from these schools actually have employable skills. Let's take another example. Say that you have 2 dentists who have the same qualification and both are equally skilled. Why do you prefer one dentist over the other? It's because he or she has better soft skills, and you feel more comfortable. And you feel more comfortable because of the way he or she is communicating with you, maybe sharing the whole plan with you, or welcoming you, or greeting you in a particular way. The second is that we talked about, I mentioned attitude. Now, very often I hear people talk about the fear of public speaking, which in my opinion perpetuates fear itself. We speak every day, right? Just recognize that public speaking is similar to that. It's a skill. It's a skill like swimming or cycling, and it can be mastered, or skating for that matter. So don't wallow in your fear stories. It's going to hold you back. Approach public speaking with a positive attitude. Now, when you have little children who come to class, they're reluctant. So the parent sees merit in the program, but the child doesn't. The child wants to play. So initially, when they're 5 or 6 and the parent brings the child, you struggle with that the first 2 years. After that, when there is self-realization and the attitude changes that, yes, I've been recognized for my recitation, or I narrated a story in school and I was recognized for that, the teacher gave me a pat on my back, then the kid transitions into this kid who has the attitude to learn and wants to better himself. But today we're addressing grade 9, 10, and 11, kids who are into profile building. Now, if you've missed the boat and you haven't come at age 5, remember that I'm going to tell you how and when you can catch up. The third thing is coaching. Now, if you struggle with communication, just like any other skill, you need a professional coach or you need professional help. So, who's going to help you with content, with structure, and delivery? It's not just about speaking well, because the audience is not foolish. I mean, they're smart. You have to have great content, you have to have stimulating content, you have to assess your audience. There are a lot of things that go into delivering a, everything has to fall into place. So we help kids, and over the years, kids even develop, how their skill as to how to write a good speech. So we give them tips like, start with a hook. Your hook could be begin with humor or begin with storytelling, an anecdote, or how about say a quote. And most kids get into the groove. So you'll find that when kids present their pieces, the other kids will give them feedback saying that your hook perhaps should have been more engaging, or I lost you in the first few minutes of your talk. The next, when you're talking about professional coaching, we talked about content, then it's structure. So if we tell children to follow, or candidates to follow, a 3-part structure. There's an introduction, there's your body, there's your conclusion. Make sure that they're very clear, and the lines don't merge, and it doesn't sound like one long drawn boring speech. So these are the tools that the coach or a professional mentor will somebody who will be able to mentor you into becoming a good orator will give you these tools for success and kind of simplify the whole process for you. Let me give you an example. Like even like little kids, if I could share a video perhaps at the end of it, where little kids in our class had put out these videos about tips on how to speak. And we had, this one video where she talks about how if you follow like a simple rule of 3, you make it easier for yourself to memorize that content, which is why if you look at fairy tales, they're oral in nature. So you'll find, and they narrated, your grandmother would have shared it with your mother will have shared it with you, and you perhaps with your little ones. So, and it's oral. I mean, you don't even have to refer to a book. Why is it like that? Because it's simplified for you. You'll always find things in 3s. So you'll find 3 little pigs, you'll find 3 billy goats gruff, you'll find Cinderella who will have 2 stepsisters and 1 stepmother. And they're all packaged in sets of 3. So if you were to give a speech, and as a coach, I would tell you that stick to the rule of 3. So if you're saying Akbar is a kind, benevolent, and a generous king, don't add a 4th element because you're bound to forget it. Maybe you could create another set of 3. So it's simple tips like that that will help you to become better orators and to help yourself with the content and the delivery. Now, we started way back in 1990, but almost 30 years ago, and we've trained thousands of kids over years, and they're all over, doctors, engineers, architects, and some of us, are still in touch. And it's wonderful when you're teaching the second generation. You've taught the parent, and now you're teaching the child, and that is special for you as a trainer, because that's your reward. Now, when we started, we realized that we needed to partner with an institute that offers a graded system. So it's a step-by-step process. So people know, okay, I finished with grade 1, now I need to get to a higher grade, and these are the skill sets I need, or these are the learning outcomes in that particular grade. So you collaboratively work towards it. Now, so we tied up with the Trinity College of London, which is an international examination board. So Trinity doesn't have, so it's got a group of examiners that travel around the world, and they've been around since 1877 and put back all the money that they earn back into the system, into spreading the arts, music, and language skills. Now, they offer a large spectrum of examinations from music, drama, and language, like English language, at all levels. So when kids start, they start at initial grade at, say, maybe 6, and they go on till they're about 16, 18. You could finish at 21. There is no perhaps a fixed timeline. You can enter and exit when you like and when you have the time. So the Trinity examiners go through a standardization process. So if they're traveling from here to Sri Lanka or Singapore or Europe, they've gone through a standardization process. So they understand, and the marking is pretty much the same. Now, they have an international network, and over each year, over 600,000 candidates appear in over 60 countries. And they take the Trinity assessments, and the whole network is growing very, very rapidly. They are internationally recognized, and a lot of institutions give you credits for the course that you have taken. You are certified at the end of it, at the end of 1 year. And so like I mentioned, that if you could, so sorry, let me come again. So just to explain what are the subjects that you could do with us, we've chosen out of the whole range of examinations or spectrum, we've chosen 2, which are speech and drama and communication skills. Now, the speech and drama examination is great when you're little because it exposes you to poetry, to recitation, to storytelling, narration, mime. So kids who are inhibited shed their inhibitions because there's role play, and it's a fun examination. The communication skills examination is more aligned to public speaking. So very often I find that the boys choose communication skills because they're awkward with drama and they kind of enjoy the research part of communication skills. So, well, if you are in, say, 7, you'd start with initial, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. But if you are in the 9th and 10th and you want to finish just the last 3 before you head out to university because you want to, don't do it just because you want the certificates, do it because you want to change the way you speak or you communicate and you want to develop those skills. Now, what would speech and drama be all about? It would be what your folks in the old days would call elocution. So there's poetry, exposure to reading, improvs, mime, and the communication skills examination so communication has a lot of other things other than poetry and recitation, which is the skills that are tested in schools. So you have presentation skills, which will be very handy when you are doing your bachelor's or your master's, because you will have to make presentations at some point in time. Then you have persuasive skills. So if you have to convince someone to, for example, support a charity, or you want to raise money for a venture, you would have to persuade someone. Now, those skills that are, now let me give you an example. And that, of course, there's demonstrative skills, informative speech. Just to give you an idea of what persuasive skills would be, we would teach, what is the technique we would teach the child? We would teach the child to use something called ethos, pathos, and logos, where you establish your credibility, like why are you going to invest in my charity? Because I'm, say, an Aksha Patra, or I work with UNICEF. Then it would be pathos. You would kind of work on the emotional aspect and the side of the listener. So you perhaps engage in storytelling, to evoke that response. And then logos is logic. So you would throw in some stats. You would say 70% people or 80% people. So these are techniques that are taught in class for persuasive skills. Then you have demonstrative speech. So if a kid or a candidate was to teach me yoga, that would be, he would have to speak and demonstrate that skill. Then there's informative speech, which news reporters use, or for an exercise, for example, if the candidate were to talk in class and I would say, for informative speech, I want you to talk about, say, Greek mythology or mythical creatures or whatever. So give me information, or news report would qualify as informative speech. Now, these skills are assessed by the college, and the candidates can very easily apply this knowledge to the real world. We encourage children or candidates to bring their own choices and interest to the examination. So no two kids will ever do the same piece, even though we have hundreds of kids. They will not do, if they have to talk about, say, maybe, for example, a pet peeve, something that they'd like to change in the world. If one says, I want to see smoking ban, there won't be another kid talking about the same thing. So when one presents, the others are all engaging and actively listening, because it's not one mold fits all. The candidates also, we encourage you to explore your own literature. So if kids are doing the drama examinations, Indian literature, Indian playwrights is something that we also encourage. And I would say that it's a fairly successful program. Now, I think that brings me to the end of my presentation. And I'd like to show you a video. And if I could share my screen with you, I'd like to show you a video about the work we do, and have, some of our kids have talked about how their experience has been with us. Am I able to share my screen?
Yes.
It's been a long and amazing journey. It's been 28 years since we started teaching. The high point of our lives is when we have taught 2 generations. Some of our kids are going to speak today, and we're going to share this with you.
Hello, everyone. Firstly, let me say that I'm truly privileged to be doing this video for my mentor. I'm Dr. Himali Maniar Patel, a practicing gynecologist running a hospital and an IVF center. Now, I have been one of Neelu ma'am's oldest students. Today, I'm at a stage where I myself conduct campaigns, seminars, webinars, interact with live audiences across various cities. The word stage fear itself has disappeared from my dictionary. I still remember, and her voice rings in my ears, bite your lip when you say have, or when you pronounce be. I don't think any school teacher would go into these minutest details.
Hi, I'm Tritika. I joined CAN when I was 6 years old, and I was a shy and tiny little girl. And today at 17, I'm still tiny, but I've grown tremendously in terms of confidence. I've represented my school at a lot of inter-school competitions, and my CAN teachers have always helped me, and I think if I've excelled, it's definitely because of them.
Hi, my name is Nidhi, and I work with YouTube. I have been working for about 13 years, and I've been a student of CAN since I was about 5 or 6 years old in 2nd grade. Just wanted to take a moment and say thank you to CAN for all the impact that it's had on me. A few things that come to mind, of course, is a level of confidence. I was an overweight kid, and having strong communication skills, exposure to reading, etc., really helped me fight my fears and go out there and perform, be part of debate clubs. I went to college, going to the English Literary Association, Speakers and Writers Club. It helped me land my first job, which was at the Singapore Tourism Board. Today, over the last few years that I've been working, I developed a strong knack in marketing and in communication. Every day, I use the skills that I learned, managing stakeholders, effectively communicating, whether it's presentations, whether it's client meetings, all of those things.
Some of my earliest memories of CAN have been for preparing ESOL, EC, and speech and drama examinations. But it wasn't just about exams. There were so many other activities, books, movies that we were introduced to and which have helped me immensely in my life. Whether it was just getting the best part in the school play or being confident enough to give presentations in front of CXOs during my MBA.
Hey guys, my name is Shakar and I study at Columbia University in New York. I went to Cannes during my school years and learned different things. I think what I learned at Cannes is really useful later in life. At college, I have to interact with people from many, many countries, and it really helps that I know how to express myself well. And even in the professional realm, when you have to give interviews and you have to give presentations, I tend to focus on things that Cannes has taught me, like, your gestures matter, your body language matters, the way you dress matters. And I think all of those insights will continue helping me for the rest of my life.
I'm very ecstatic to be speaking to you today. My name is Param Patel, and I'm studying computer science and applied and computational mathematics at the University of Southern California. Now, communication skills is a topic that I would love to discuss extensively, but I must limit myself to a summary of my personal journey of self-development. This story begins with a very shy, timid, socially anxious boy who is desperately trying to fit in. Now, I was very fortunate to have access to an opportunity such as Cannes. By the end of this experience at Cannes, I no longer needed to fit in because I realized I could stand out. I could stand out as a leader. This necessary first step in my journey of self-development allowed me to gain a great deal of confidence. This was a paradigm-shifting experience for me, but I realized I must challenge myself further, which is why I got more involved into activities on the public forum, such as debate or Model UN, or more activities on those lines. I had very fruitful years in these activities where I won a great number of awards, international awards, university level awards. I kept challenging myself even further. It was the confidence I had gained in communication skills from not only my experience at Cannes, but experiences after Cannes where I pushed myself further. In my experiences at Global Conference of UN, we often discussed matters of why is it that curriculums do not include these matters of communication skills, which are arguably perhaps even more valuable in a professional setting. Their academic purposes. I wish you all the best in your own journey of self-development.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Olupi Shah. I'm a dental surgeon by profession. What makes me a good doctor is not only my work, it's also with the confidence I communicate to my patients, the way I make them understand. My job's half done. Who would think what an important role communication would be in my profession? And not only my profession, any profession. For me, it started with my drama class at Cannes. It was a fun way to shed my inhibitions. It was a good platform for me to perform and to learn communication skills. I was maybe 5 when my sister and myself joined the classes. We completed our grades, and that's when our journey had actually begun. Today, I'm a mom, but I still have a close relationship with Neelu Miss. I share a special bond with her. She's always been my role model, and the memories of my drama class, they always will be dear to me. Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to the end of my session. And if you'd like to reach out to us, we are on www.caninstitute.com, and you can write to us, or we can share a number. It's a fairly easy number to remember. It's 961-961-2200. Reach out to us if you have any queries. I'm open to questions now.
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for this wonderful presentation and for sharing information about your work at Cannes Academy and your whole story. And it was really interesting to hear the student stories as well. Really enjoyed those. So we have received quite a few questions.
Okay.
So the first one asks about what is is there a full form of CAN?
So when we first started, we called ourselves the Parquet Circle, and we realized that it was a difficult name for people to pronounce. You know, people were scared to call us up because it was called the Parquet Circle. So we changed it to CAN, and CAN stands for Communication Analyst.
Okay, wonderful.
So the next question is from Aryan, who says, do you operate in Bangalore as well? So earlier we didn't, and we were limited to the physical space. And after after this pandemic, so this has opened out so many opportunities. We've gone online, and now we have students from Guwahati and from Singapore, and we have students from all over, and that's a wonderful space to be in. So the third question is, I'm not scared of going on stage and speaking, but I don't know what's wrong with my speaking skills. That in school, teachers say I need to improve my speaking skills. But I went for coaching outside to improve them. They said that you don't need coaching. So, you know, learning happens through your life. I can't say that I've aced it even now. I mean, I could better myself with each presentation. So if you want to reach out to us, please go ahead and visit our website and we'll see how we can help you. Okay. So Kriti says, does speech and drama and communications certification count in universities? So I would say that they do. And when I started learning drama and communication, I remember that the universities gave a lot of weightage to the certifications. Today, if you were to move to Singapore, you were to move to the UK, or you were to move to, say, America, the institute is recognized and hence the certification is. So I hope that answers your question. So Aryan Kumar says, does CAN also give practical exposure? So we've done that. Every year we have a small presentation for parents and kids. Now that we've gone online, we do have a theater that we use, and our kids put up monologues, or they put up their you know, a lot of the times the kids are scripting their content, they're doing the introductions, they're handling the entire show by themselves. What makes a good actor? Now, those are technical skills which I will share once you connect with us or personally. What's the duration of the course? Sorry, did I miss something? What's the duration of the course? Do you have a course fee? If yes, how much? Okay. So the duration of the course is that kids start at 7 and they go on till they're about 17, 18. You can drop in or drop out whenever you like. It's fairly flexible. The course fee differs from grade to grade. So if the classes are online, then the fee is different, and you can check on our website or reach out to us and we can share the fee. This can have a start and an end date for students. So we have students who join us at, like I mentioned, 7, and I think I'm repeating myself. If they've, very often kids finish up to about 5 to 6 grades with us. If you join when you're older, then you can, I mean, very often kids finish the entire 8 grades and they get their, they get a collaborative certificate for all the grades that they've appeared for. It's a special certificate. But if you'd like to just do the last 3, even that's possible. If you just do the first 3, even that's possible. So like I said, it's a very flexible program. So if you are doing a Trinity program elsewhere and you'd like to shift, you're more than welcome. as long as you show me what level and what grade you're at, and I kind of assess you, or one of my teachers assesses you, we're happy to have the kid. What kind of book should we read? Now, that's a good question, but it's not simple to answer that. A lot of parents ask me that question, and I always tell them that if you're a reader, your kid will be a reader. If you choose to watch television and and you tell your child to read, that's not possible. That's not going to work. Children also have to have a varied, varied kind of reading offered to them. So I find parents who say, I read Enid Blyton, but he refuses to read Enid Blyton, or she refuses to touch Nancy Drew or Hardy Boys. Children are reading, as long as they're reading, I say encourage it. Now, I've been through 2 kids, and they're teenage girls now. So I went through the process, and now I'm working with my nephew, who's work in progress. So we started off with Geronimo, because all his classmates were reading Geronimo, and then he didn't like it because, the book takes you on different paths. So, we found different things. I offered, sometimes it was horror stories, different genres. So keep trying. Your kid might take to, as long as he's reading, it could be about cars, it could be news events, it could be fiction, it could be, general knowledge, it could be anything, as long as the reading continues. So are you taking classes online? And yes, I am taking classes online. And once you reach out to us, I will leave my website details and number. You can reach out to us and we can try and fit you in an online class. Is this a drama or a public speaking course? So like I mentioned, the speech and drama is a drama course. It's more drama oriented. You do have speech, of course, is part of both the curriculums. But the communications course is more aligned towards public speaking, where you have demonstrative speech and informative speech, which I mentioned in my presentation. What's my website address? It's www.caninstitute.com. I will send you the link of the website on the chat. Do you take online lessons? How can you register, and how much do you have to pay? So I would recommend that you reach out to us, because it's not so easy to answer that question. Each grade has a different fee. The fee is not very high. The reason being that we want kids to continue and finish the program. And because classes have gone online, we've reduced the fee, to be honest with our parents, because I know educational institutions have continued to stay firm about their fee. We've cut down the fee by 25%, and you can reach out to us and we will assess your child, and then we can take it from there. If we complete a course from CAN, do we also get a certification from Trinity? Yes, because CAN, like I mentioned, we have kind of amalgamated our courses. So we look at the outcomes that Trinity expects, and we align our courses and our modules in such a way that we achieve what Trinity is asking for. So if they say that the kid should be articulate and should be able to have read XYZ text and should be able to deliver poetry like this, we will do a couple of poems or a couple of texts in such a way that you are, you're kind of aligned with the program. How do you guys help with major disorders like schizophrenia? Okay, so I am a speech trainer, and I am not qualified to work with children who have major disorders. If there are issues that they are caused by their environment, maybe their school causing, where the environment is stressful, the kid is feeling suffocated, is not being able to express himself. We provide a safe zone and encouraging, our teachers are encouraging and make sure that kids hone these skills and are not frightened to speak in our classes. Is it okay to join after the 12th? So right now, most of our kids are in from say 7 to about 16 or 17. However, if we do have inquiries and kids who haven't done it in the past would like to join, sure, we could look into that. So I'm not afraid to go up and speak on stage and give my views, but some think I don't talk too much. How can I improve that? Well, in this world of communicators, we also need listeners. So good to have you. How do we deal with parental pressure? Well, I'm a parent myself, so I kind of understand where your parents are coming from. And most parents push their children to excel. However, if you feel that the nudging is way beyond something that you can handle, I'm sure a better way to deal with it is to communicate with the parent and say that you're feeling the pressure and it's becoming unpleasant. What do these online sessions cost? So they cost anything between 10 to 12,000 for the first level. Like I said, the fee is varied for different grades. So it would be best if you checked on our website and give us a call and we could help you with the cost. What is the ideal age to join the institute? I would say about 7 years. So the centers in Mumbai are in Khar, in Juhu, Borivali. And now that we're online, you could access us from anywhere. I have answered the question about the ideal age. What books shall I read in class 10? By then, you should have figured out what you like to read. And I don't think, so you could be part of book clubs, you could read topics that interest you, whether it's travel, whether it's design, whether it's fiction, non-fiction. By then, you should be able to figure out what you like to read. How many students are there in a batch or a course? So in the physical space, we would not take more than 12, but in our online programs, we limit it to 8. Yes, I do complete all the Trinity grades. So I'm a dancer and I don't hesitate while dancing. But when it comes to things like speech or being an MC, I tend to panic and freeze. Don't worry. There are several people who are in the same position. Even some of the most well-known actors get butterflies in their stomach and need to pace up and down before a performance. So you're just one of the many. We don't have a center in Bangalore, but we're online, so you can reach out to us. Where do the exams take place? So even Trinity has taken advantage of the situation and gone online. So we could train you online and you could also give your examination online. I hope that answers all your questions. Does that bring me to the end of my session?
Yes. So it seems we have covered all the questions here. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time today and for sharing such a wonderful presentation. To all the attendees, I have shared the website link here. And if you can just call out your phone number, if you're okay with it.
It's 961.
961.
961.
961.
2200.
Okay, so I've typed that as well in the chat box. So please feel free to reach out to ma'am via WhatsApp, preferably.
So Patricia will be available on Monday on that number. She handles the administration, and feel free to call her on Monday.
Okay, wonderful. So once again, thank you. And I hope some students will connect with you to be a part of the
Thank you
program.
for having this, and I hope you all, you know, if you haven't already started, do take that stance and, you know, start this journey of communication.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.